Tell me your creepiest experiences when growing up. I saw something I shouldn't have up, and they've been watching me ever since. Driving past my house. Moving my mailbox by a few inches. Deflating my tires. Seeing the little people of Cherokee folklore in the woods multiple times as a child was probably the creepiest thing that ever happened to me as a cod. I saw a gathering at the Bohemian Grove. Every politician that attends is actually controlled by a single entity. The entity itself lives inside the Bohemian Grove, and they gather there to rejuvenate the connection because it gets weaker over time. I think its long-term goal is to control everyone on the planet. It's already started by building close followings around politicians and different political groups. It sends its slaves trying to drive me insane so no one will believe me. My psychiatrist gives me all these different kinds of meds, but I haven't taken any of them. I don't know if you'd call this creepy, but I had a recurring dream as a really little kid. It was entirely from my perspective. I was suspended, often but not always upside down, in a vast and barren landscape. There were some hills, sort of, but it was also horizonless. Everything was sort of a light to reddish brown. It was neither night nor day, and there was a constant, all-encompassing guttural rumbling that was overbearing but not necessarily loud. Despite the lack of features, everything seemed somewhat blocky, in a way that I would now describe as sort of poorly rendered 3D graphics. Several years later, around age 9 or so, I went with a friend to the county fair. There was a tent set up with a virtual reality game. You stood on a raised platform enclosed by a railing, put on the heavy helmet and bulky gloves, and played some sort of game. It involved shooting and pterodactyls or something. I was completely overwhelmed and confused and had no idea what was happening. It all seemed over in a matter of seconds, but was supposed to be a 5-minute experience. Everything was loud and extremely blocky and chunky. It was busier and more silver than my old recurring dream, but felt very similar. This would have been no later than 1993. The rest of the day was unremarkable. I assume we went on some rides and went home. Me 8-10 years old or so. Dad is taking me to meet some of his colleagues. It's a kind of hoity-toity business gathering at nice library. I wasn't supposed to come along, so Dad warns me to be on my best behavior. I was worried I wasn't dressed fancy enough. It's pretty boring, but the people are nice enough. Dad introduces me to a few people he knows. One guy in particular stood out as he was wearing an emerald green suit. The people around were dressed in nice clothes as well, but this guy had a green suit on. Dad tells me that this man is probably the smartest and wealthiest person in the room. The green man takes a great interest in me because I was known for being a bit precocious and I wasn't pretty articulate for a kid, I guess. He asks me a litany of strange questions about history and science, and my opinion on some geopolitical topics. It was absurd, but I was the kind of kid that knew about these sorts of things, and I absorbed information like a sponge. I was basically repeating back to him things I had read in book or seen on TV that seemed to be authoritative. If he asked me about something I didn't know about, I told him as much. That seemed to please him, since I wasn't pretending to be more knowledgeable than I was. He continues questioning me, but then something strange happens. I can hear his voice saying something different than what his mouth is saying. I can hear his voice in my head. I'm very confused. As precocious as I was, I had no idea people could do that, so I was a bit surprised. None of the adults freaked out, so I assumed I was just a little slow on the uptake. The green man smiles at my confusion but then excuses himself in a bit of a hurry. The gathering ends and we end up leaving. On the drive home, I ask my dad about the man in the green suit and he has no idea what I'm talking about. I try to explain that he literally introduced me to a man dressed in a green suit, but Dad doesn't recall this. I'm left wondering how he could forget that. One time I ran across the road in front of a car and a woman came out of nowhere and grabbed me. I was 5. One time I was lying in bed in the morning and I could hear voices whispering outside of my window having a conversation. I couldn't make out what they were saying, but I didn't think much of it. I decided to look out of my window because I began to become irritated and there was nobody there. Be me, 11 yo. At friend's birthday sleepover party. Morning of the second day. Watching a movie. Pause movie to fuck around, making jokes and talking. Suddenly get this terrible feeling. Overwhelmed by a sudden, overwhelming sense of cosmic horror. The sound of my friends laughing and talking fades away, like they're underwater. This is wrong. Everything is wrong. This isn't real. The world isn't real. Something horrible is coming. It's going to kill us all. I have to warn them. But how? I don't even know what is coming. It's pointless anyway. Our end is inevitable. Feel like the entire world is falling away all around me. Oh God, nobody knows. I'm the only one who knows. I can't save anyone. My dad is gonna die. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Burst into tears because it's all I can do. Come to with my friends huddled around me, asking if I'm okay. I'm not okay, but I do feel a little better. The world feels real again. Call my dad and ask him to take me home ASAP. Very quiet until he shows up. Not feeling very festive anymore. When dad asks me why I wanted to come home early, I don't even know where to begin. I just felt sick and wanted to come home. I'm pretty sure this was just a panic attack or something. I was an anxious kind of kid, so it's not unlikely. Still, it fucked me up so badly that I remember it clear as day, 16 years later. It makes me want to go back in time and hug little me. Poor kid got all kinds of fucked up by that experience. Be me 13 or so and start creating horror stories. Create a pantheon of evil beings and so much more. Create one who is basically an imp who was discarded by the gods. Wore a white mask, red dress, and white mask decorated in blood. Basically a symbol for sin itself. Become obsessed with said being. Over the years become more and more obsessed. Had 2 moments where my mind breaks and feels like she is physically there. Be me now 18 and she is basically on my mind day after day. I hate her and the more I look into the more I fear I created an actual being. Be me like 8. Camping in some park in TX, think it was maybe Garner, I don't know. Go down smaller trail. Parents bought me a bug vacuum since I've always been obsessed with capturing bugs. It's by a river so the entire time I look at said river. Try catching all sorts of bugs with vacuum and fail horribly cause well not what it was designed to, just be cheap and sell in masses. Eventually see a dragonfly. Look closer and notice it's in a humanoid shape. Picture a blue dragonfly but in a human-like shape and its head is replaced with a human featureless face. I am mesmerized and eventually snap back to reality and try catching it with my vacuum. Fail horribly OFC. Tell parents and they just laugh it off and make jokes the entire time. Years later see a video of a family in their backyard. Find an exact replica of said creature but it's in a more stick bug-like appearance. Be me. Lived in a huge neighborhood in rural TX by a national park. See all types of weird shit. Large glowing light that just pops up and slings itself into the air fading away by my house. UFO sightings all the time. White-like creature on the tree. Usual spoopa sounds in the forest. Emu that just shows up in neighbor's yard. Weird colored feathers that just show up, blue with some purple on it. And so much more, and that's not counting what my dad saw growing up in that area. 2 moments stick out the most. Randonautica become a huge hit app and if don't know basically you say a thing and it will take you to it. I use with my sister. We decide to do nothing spooky yet and just try normal shit and you know what? It worked. but when we used it for spoopa shit I decided to do demon and it sent us outside, so I went outside by myself. Sister was called to do something by my mom, and right where it told me to go I see a blood red light shining. Instantly book it and run inside. Tell sis and she looks outside and sees nothing, and neither do I. Afterwards get a borderline addiction with app. Use it again at church, same forest, and decide to do evil and it places right outside the border of church. Do it again but say skinwalker and again places it out of border but close to other side, and keep repeating skinwalker and does a literal circle around the church. Eventually stop since we were all called in for church. Be me at 16. A friend invites me to smoke. Friend suggests we go to a cut. I don't know where it is, so I agree and follow. We walk across town and stop at an abandoned house by my old middle school. Instant bad feeling. There was lots of rumors about the house. The home's owner allegedly killed himself. A girl from another school went missing some years prior. Last seen by the house. I'm already creeped out but want to get high, so I go in anyway. The inside is dark. All the windows and doors are boarded. We had to get in and out by climbing through a hole in one of the walls. Graffiti and broken glass everywhere. We sit amid the debris and smoke. While we're there I can hear noises from inside the darkness. Scratching. Creaking. We shine a phone light down the dark hall but something weird happened. The house was small, but the darkness inside was deep. The hallway beside the room where we were looked like it went on forever. More noises. More scratching. Louder than before. I'm starting to freak out but say nothing because my friend would talk shit. My friend says we should explore the house, see if there's anything valuable in it. I'm at my limit, too creeped out. I make up an excuse and say I need to go home, and we leave. While we're walking back I ask him if he heard the sounds in the house. What noises, man? I didn't hear anything. I drop the matter, and we part ways. Neither of us went back to the house again after that. Up here, I can but mobile so deal with it. Be me 7 to 8 early 2000s. Visit some buttfuck nowhere with dad. Mom is on wheelchair so we rarely took her on stuff like that. First day was normal, we go to eat waffles and take a swim in the nearby lake. On our way to the hotel see clown. Don't really think much. Go sleep. Wake up at like 3 a.m. and hear creepy laughter. Be too much of a bitch pussy to check it out. Just pretend everything is fine and go back to sleep eventually. Day 2 was actually normal. Day 3 as well, but on the way back from the lake we stopped at a MC Dondel for food. Whilst shoveling this crap into my mouth I notice a clown next to our car. Tell dad. He gets spooked hard and calls the cops. They tell him to fuck off because they don't care about a fucking clown. Eat and go to car. Notice the fucker left a note. MFW at a party invitation. MFW, it has my name on it. MFW party is tomorrow in woods next to our hotel. Now originally we were supposed to have 5 days of fun and return in the early morning of day 6, but we decided to pack up and fuck up from there on morning of day 4. Night from day 3 to 4. Hear creepy shit. Like nails on a chalkboard and some wired screeching. Can't sleep all night because of that. Morning of day 4. We are putting our suitcases in the car. Dad goes to take a shit, says to stay in the car. Sit there looking through windows. Suddenly a massive congregation of creepy clowns of all shapes and sizes emerges from the woods near hotel and just stands there. Pretty sure they can't be human. One fucker is like good 7 feet tall and another is normal height, but his arms are like twice as long as his legs. They all sing some wired nursery rhyme. Getting ready to fucking die. Wave. Suddenly dad runs up and we bolt the fuck out of there. Never been happier to see the fucker in my whole life. I honestly forgot about this whole ordeal thinking it was a dream until dad reminded me last year. Truly spookiest thing I experienced. B15. California. City has loads of parks and foresty type areas. Go to the park closest to my place to smoke a joint. It's an area filled with trees that you can even get lost but easy to find any of the 30 paths out. It was night, I couldn't get caught. Halfway through I hear clapping and laughing deeper in down a trail. Decide to go down to see what was up. Got close enough to see 20 to 30 people in robes and some ritualistic offering shit like a skinless animal. They must've smelled my loud cause once I got to a point down the trail they got dead silent and I heard rustling. I instantly started running the moment I saw them putting out lights. It was already dark as it was. Didn't stop running till I hit the streets. Now I carry. Be me, around 23 yo. 4th of July me and a group of buddies go to a hunting cabin in Bumblefrick, PA close to a little town with good fireworks. 4 to 5 of us. Middle of nowhere, no cell service. This time, friend brings another friend of his who I didn't know along. Guy's soft.jpg. Something about him just, no. He's not rude, just off. Seems slightly dissociated. Anyway. Later that night at cabin. Everyone drinking beer except me. Decided not to drink this time. Completely sober. Eventually everyone goes to bed. Laying in bed. Suddenly overwhelmed by a terrifying cosmic horror. Worse than anything I've ever felt. I get up. Still a black horror, even with light on. Tell another good buddy who is in the room with me. He doesn't feel anything. I don't care. JPEG. I can script him to start praying anyway. Eventually the horror leaves. Barely sleep. Next AM me and him nope out of there early before anyone else. It's a Sunday morning. Go to church. Part of me wonders if that weird kid didn't have a demon attached to him or something that I was able to sense. I've never felt anything like that before or since. You know, there is one thing that haunts me to this day, seeing which made me unlock certain abilities. 10 years old. Sounds in the hallway. Decide to stand up and look what causes the ruffle. Exit room. 3 tall guys stand at the other end of the hallway. Push back the first with some psychic push. Block attacks with spiritual shield. Communicate telepathically, freak them out. Call in some elder gods to scare them guys away. Noises still there. They come from parents' bedroom. Decide to open the door. My DOS is fucking my mom. Which gives me my psychic abilities. 9 years old. Camping trip with Boy Scout troops. But fuck of nowhere in County Sligo. In tent with best friend, scout leaders are no more than 10 meters away in their own tent. I wake up and I gotta piss. Get out my bag and tent so I don't wake anyone up. Bring a flashlight cause I'm a total pussy. Walk for a solid 2 minutes so I don't piss near the site. Finish and walk back, turn my torch away from the tent before I shut it off. Corner of my eye I see something around the spot I pissed, was the size of a bull but it didn't look like an animal. Nothing was there the morning I woke up. Be 5 years old. Often have strange dreams. One keeps reoccurring every now and then. I fall asleep and find myself in an empty city. No sign of human presence other than the buildings themselves. I hear a voice call my name in a childlike, playful tone. Over here, Anon. I look towards the voice and see a geometric anomaly covered in eyes. Pig related, but more cartoon-like, with many eyes. Follow me, Anon. It shapeshifts into a giant arrow and points down an empty street. I follow it. We walk for a while and stop at what appears to be a train station. The map. It gives me a map and urges me to look at it. My heart begins to pound because I know what happens next. Tunnel vision as I focus on the map. A monstrous reptile, like a dinosaur, but more horrific, crawls out of the map and begins to chase me. I run around the train station trying to escape the monster. Dream ends. Move to a different city. The reoccurring dream stops happening. Decades later, my mom casually mentions I used to sleepwalk when I was 5 before we moved, and she would find me standing up asleep, shaking in fear in random parts of the apartment. WTF, I wrote a Greentext story and it didn't post. Fuck it, I'm too lazy to do it again. Whatever, I'll do it. TL, DRB7. Hear breathing at foot of bed at night. Gets louder, start feeling something touch my leg. Yell for mom but frozen in fear so voice doesn't work. Eventually able to scream. Mom comes in, turns on light, nothing is there. It's just your imagination, sweetie. This happened on and off until 11 years old. I wish I was just imagining it, it was very real. Okay, so here is how I almost died 4 days in a row. Mind you, this one is kinda weird. 15-year-old dumb shit, super depressed after my first breakup. Parents truly giving a fuck about you for the first time since ever because big sad. Unironically think about KMS. Decide to do it. Day 1 of how I almost died. Swallowed like 20 sleeping pills, prescription ones but nothing strong since they're meant for kids and adults alike. Just vomit all night. After that I began to feel weird. Not like depressed weird or my fucking liver is dying weird, but like I'm being watched by something wires. This feeling continues through this whole experience. Day 2, weirdly enough I'm still alive, kinda shaken by this whole thing and the fact that now my stomach just hurts a bit and that's all. Be walking down the street with friend. One across the road when suddenly some middle-aged woman grabs me and tells me to watch out. She saved my life as I almost walked right under a speeding delivery van. Get spooked and run home. Day 3, freaking out bout near-death experience. Stay in room all day except when I have to walk doggy. Evening walk. Zoning out to some perturbator. Suddenly a fucking street light collapsed right next to me. We talking like 0,5 m to my right. Almost have a fucking heart attack because of it. Run home. Day 4, I'm freaking out like a schizo, thinking the universe wants me dead or some shit. Didn't eat all day so I'm really hungry by 4 p.m. Decide to grab a pizza from nearby. Avoid the crosswalk from day 2. See some sketchy dude near pizza place. Right as I make the order, hear a scream outside. The dude beat some kid up so hard he almost fucking died cause brain damage. Perp was high on meth or crack from what I remember. TL, dr, I had to almost die 4 times just to get over some stupid bitch. Also didn't get to order ma pizza, still crying about it. I saw a UFO when I was little. Sister is 10 years older than I am. Her boyfriend's family is rich, has a big house in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. It's late at night and I'm throwing rocks into the pond on their property while everyone else parties inside. See a shitload of lights in the water's reflection. Look up and see a huge object, reasonably close to the ground, moving very slowly, completely silent. All the lights on it make it very clear it's not plane shaped. Run inside to get my sister because holy shit, what is that? And I was scared of the X-Files at the time. Come out and there is nothing there, just empty night sky. I don't remember much, that time of my life has faded significantly. I think he might have said something like, I wonder what else you're capable of. But it's all very vague now. One major detail I left out is that I started having dreams about that man a few months ago, after I started reconnecting with spirituality, Kundalini awakening. It's what made me wonder about that time, and what significance that may have had for me, or if he was even real. In the dreams I saw the same man, in the same green suit, only his eyes were angry and hateful with slits instead of a round center. His teeth were all sharp points. To be perfectly honest, it felt like the man was attacking me or trying harm me in some way. Fortunately for me, I had already connected with my spirit guides and knew how to control my fears, so those dreams were a mere annoyance at most. If I had triggered whatever that was any earlier, I don't know if I would have handled it very well, though. Pic related, I remember the suit looking like this and the man was very old but extremely observant. I guess. I've never met anyone like that since, so I can't discount the possibility of a childhood flight of fancy. The weird thing is, years later my dad remembered the trip to that library but still denied ever seeing a man in a green suit. Be me. My girlfriend and I were driving from a date in Atlanta a couple years ago. Apple Maps told me there was a traffic jam blocking the interstate from Chattanooga to Nashville. We decided to take the highways home. I was driving on Highway 8 toward McMinnville at 11:30 p.m. when a blinking cone of light appeared across the night sky on my left. The light was huge, spanning miles in length. It was probably only 5,000 to 10,000 feet up in the air. It was a semi-cloudy night and it was below the clouds but way above the trees. The cone of light was not that wide but extremely bright and aimed forward in the sky, not at the ground but straight forward. I woke up my girlfriend who had been sleeping at that point, and she also sees this strange blinking cone of light that seems to be approaching us. The blinking was on for 2 seconds and off for 2 seconds. As we passed the craft, both of us got a good look at what it was. We were expecting to see some kind of airplane or radio tower, but what we see is something else entirely. It appears to me as an all-black bike horn, with the cone of light being emitted from the cone of the horn. My girlfriend described it as a hanging lamp. It passed us going no faster than 100 miles per hour. One thing about it that we both agreed on was that the craft was very large, larger than an airplane. It was about the length of 4 passenger airplanes. We did not turn around to follow it, as it was going the opposite direction. It was going in the direction of its headlight, and had no visible wings or means of propulsion. 6 years old, werewolf face in bedroom window 7 feet off the ground. Months later, floating winged skulls in bedroom doorway, close eyes, feel myself floating on my back down the hallway, wake up on the front porch and go back inside to bed, no one notices. Months later, mother wakes up a frantic mess, both naked, talks about us running in the field, clothes are in the wash covered in grass and sticks. Think she's full of shit years later, although I vaguely remember. Do DMT last year twice, grays start showing up every few nights at the edge of sleep for months after, then eventually quit. Terrified at first but now just super curious and convinced they're running the show. Deja vu throughout life. This is just a sandbox to learn in as far as I can tell. It's fine. Probably stuck on a loop till we get it right, I don't know. 8 years old. Creepy ass stairs leading up to my room with only light switch at bottom. Every other light was off. I turn off the switch and terror run up these motherfuckers every night. One night, right as psyching myself up for the terror run, scary fucking music randomly starts playing. Hello. Shittingbricks.exe. Who's there? This isn't funny. About to fucking cry. Later I discovered the fucking Windows 98 Haunted Mansion screensaver plays creepy music even though the monitor was off. Synchronicity fucking me in the ass, dude. Friend and I roughly 12. Don't remember much from childhood except our time together. Lived in a woods. Literally only went home when parents made us. Neighborhood has a small patch of woods. Funnels into a small area of no homes, then into a massive forest. Stay mostly in a woods by the neighborhood. Small streams and such, hiking, riding bikes etc. One day get bright idea to follow a creek to its end. Stay beside or in the water entire way. Walk for well over an hour. Realize we've entered the forest. Creek empties into a river we didn't know about. Turns out several kids drowned in that river through the years. Bodies never found. Happened over decades. We didn't know that at the time and only found out years later when we built up the nerve to ask his dad about it. Getting late afternoon and hungry, we head back. Walk near the creek but a little further away this time. See a large mound of earth we missed earlier, large oak tree sitting on top. Not quite a hill but a good 15 to 20 feet high. Decide to inspect. Notice a small opening on the side facing away from the creek. Probably a small animal den. Friend was always more adventurous than me. Let's investigate anon. Whatever. He starts poking around inside. Hey, it's pretty big in here. Starts digging around at entrance. Hole large enough to squeeze in. He wasn't kidding, we both fit inside. Hey anon, when we get home let's grab some tools to dig this out. Why not? Get home, get grub, get tools and we're off. The cave becomes our after-school project. Head directly there every day after school. After a couple weeks, shit was legit. 2 beds made of wood and pine branches. 2 chairs dug into the walls. We could both stand, arms raised and not touch the top. It was like an underground clubhouse. Shit was cash. Hey anon, wanna stay here Saturday night? Fuck yeah, tell both parents we're staying at the others overnight. Saturday night. We have snacks. Board games. Flashlights. Slingshots, 12yo weapon of choice. Make a fire and roast marshmallows. Fuck around in the creek. Kids being kids and loving it. Climb inside at sunset. Found a round wooden tabletop we used to roll in front of the opening for a door. Used a length of pipe to push some holes through one side and the top for ventilation. Settle in, fire goes out. Reading comic books by candlelight inside. Boom. Sounds like a fucking cannon fired. Loud ass snap and a ground shaking thud. What the fuck was that? Silence. Dead fucking silence after that. Let's check it out anon. Are you fucking serious? Slide tabletop just a bit so we can peek outside. Friend whispers. Did you see that? I couldn't talk. I was in front of him, he's basically looking over my shoulder. Saw this thing's silhouette. It was cloudy but the moon was nearly full and gave some light. It was massive. Walked on 4 legs. Size of a horse but moved like a cat. If it had fur I couldn't tell, it looked smooth and possibly gray. It was walking past the mound toward the creek. It stopped. Oh fuck a fuck a fuck. I swear it looked right at us. Its eyes weren't visible in the dark but they had that creepy ass shine from catching the light. Slowly, so fucking slowly I started to roll the tabletop back over the opening. Friend hadn't moved. I don't think either of us took a breath. The opening was nearly closed when it let out this sort of gurgle. I don't know how else to describe it. It sounded almost like a snake hissing underwater. One more push and it's closed. One more peek. It fucking turned. It's coming this way. Quickly but as quiet as possible we tried to barricade the door with wood, rocks, anything heavy we could find. Another gurgle. Much closer. I could hear it sniffing near the door. Not sure if at the door or the fire pit. Somehow friend and I never made a fucking sound. Sitting center of the cave armed with cheap slingshots and steel balls. Terrified. Suddenly several large thumps on the mound. It was climbing up. No idea what time it was, minutes felt like hours. Faint sniffing and gurgling noises. It was sniffing though the vent holes. Oh no 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 no. We were trapped and this thing knew we were near. Now sniffing and gurgling from the other vent hole. We gon' die tonight. Scratching at the door. This went on for what felt like days. Door, top vent, side vent repeat. Looking for a way in. Looking to kill what it smelled. Not sure of shock or exhaustion but both our dumb asses fell asleep. Woke up could have been hours or minutes. No noise. Could hear birds. Woke friend up. Anon, what are we going to do? I don't fucking know, man, can't stay here forever. Open the door. I ain't opening that shit, nigga. We sat in silence for what felt like hours. Fuck this. I'm going to look outside. Takes a while to unbarricade door. Finally do, move it back a couple inches. Daylight, thank you Jesus. Seems clear. Count of 3 anon we open door and run like hell. 1, 2, 3. Door rolled open and running like fucking Usain Bolt on coke. Gurgle hiss. Blood-curdling gurgle scream. This is it. This is how we die. Just keep running, never stop running. Friend screams. Keep running. Everything goes blank. Anon, are you okay? Mom. Oh my god, Anon, what happened? I don't know. Where's friend Anon? He's inside, he's badly hurt. Anon, what the hell happened? Begin telling mom everything, start crying, just want to see my friend. His dad's in the way, his leg is all ripped up and bleeding. Go inside sobbing, dad's patching up friend's leg. Anon, I'm so fucking sorry. Don't be bro, you did what I would have, we knew we couldn't stop. What happened? I don't know Anon, I was running behind you and something grabbed my leg, I pulled away and kept running, didn't even realize I was bleeding. His leg looked like shark bites I've seen. Shredded. Don't know how he managed the last few hundred yards. Told parents everything. Dads grabbed guns and headed back. Saw nothing. Said the top of the mound was all dug up, another couple inches and it would have opened up. Found huge sets of paw prints deep in the mud. Massive tree branch on the ground where we first saw it. Think the thing was in the trees watching us. Never went back. Often wonder if the boys who drowned in the river through the years really drowned. Bodies never found. Only really spooky if you were there, but I'll share. Be me, back in middle school. Visiting a friend's house who lives out in the countryside, closest neighbor was a little over a mile down a serpentine road in either direction. 5 of us there without supervision because house brother's parents weren't home. Mainly spending the night playing video and talking. After a while 3 of the group are asleep aside from me and one of my swim team mates, Ben. It's a new moon and it's cloudy, so it's completely pitch black outside. House borders on a thin strip of wooded area a few meters away, so thin you could probably walk edge to edge in 15 minutes. Ben and I are sitting on a 2nd-story balcony that faces parallel to the tree line. We're talking about stupid shit and he starts idly messing with this cheap laser pointer that looks like a laser tag pistol on his keychain. He's just waving it around back and forth across the tree line and the lawn of the house. We continue talking and after a few minutes there's a blue dot on my arm. Both of us are confused, realize it's the light from a laser pointer, but it's coming from the woods. The dot runs across my arm and shirt a few times before disappearing. Find it kind of funny for a second, before realizing that means someone is in the woods watching us. We try to play it cool and pretend like we didn't even notice it as we went back inside. In hindsight that was completely fucking retarded because we both looked right at it and clearly reacted to it. Get back inside and wake house bro up, the other 2 would have probably lost their shit and called the cops, so we just let them sleep. Try to figure out what to do, if we should call one of our families, etc. Decide to just hunker down for the night. I wasn't planning on sleeping during the stay regardless, so it wasn't too bad on me. Night goes smoothly, nothing else happens or ever came of it.
Like, share and subscribe to the channel, and be sure to ring the notification bell. You can follow us on Twitter at Motel and RV Park. Catch the live streams on Rumble. Listen to text-to-speech stories on Atomic Shaman TTS on YouTube.